Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner Mini episode, I have 3 different stories of Mothman, folks. All of them are pretty damn interesting. Let's get into the first article of several sightings today, folks, titled Winged Humanoid Sightings in Lincoln Park, Chicago Raised Concern from Witnesses, and hear about these multiple sightings that took place just in Chicago's Lincoln Park, folks. Let's get into it now. Between early summer and early fall 2017, multiple witnesses in Chicago's Lincoln Park area reported encounters with a large winged humanoid entity. These sightings occurred in populated, well-lit areas and were accompanied by intense emotional reactions and environmental disturbance. When examined together, the reports suggest a recurring aerial presence rather than an isolated anomaly. Let's get into it now. Lincoln Park Zoo sighting September 7th, 2017 at approximately 4 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. Central. A witness reported visiting the Lincoln Park Zoo with family in the late afternoon after the zoo closed around 5 o'clock p.m. The family remained nearby, enjoying the unusually pleasant weather and open grounds. As they prepared to leave, a sudden commotion erupted among a group of people roughly 20 yards away. Several individuals were pointing skyward. When the witnesses looked up, they observed a large flying creature moving just above the treetops. The entity remained visible for approximately 5 seconds as it circled the trees before flying off in the direction of North Avenue Beach. The witnesses described the figure as humanoid, with clearly defined arms, legs, and head. The body appeared extremely thin and entirely black, with no discernible facial features. The wings were described as bat-like, membrane-based, and estimated at roughly 12 feet in span. The creature was actively flapping its wings and appeared to accelerate as it gained distance. Immediately following the sighting, someone in the nearby crowd remarked that similar creatures had been seen multiple times throughout the summer. This prompted the witness to research the phenomena and eventually submit the report. In particular, numerous zoo animals became audibly distressed during and shortly after the sighting. Vocalizations increased across multiple enclosures, suggesting a widespread reaction to the aerial presence. No additional anomalies were reported later that evening. And here's the second residential Lincoln Park sighting. It happened June 3rd, 2017 at approximately 10 o'clock p.m. Central. A separate report was received via telephone at 12:04 a.m. from a couple who had just experienced a disturbing encounter in the 400 block of North Arlington Place between North Clark Street and North Lakeview Avenue within the Lincoln Park community of Chicago. The witnesses stated they had finished a late dinner and were walking along the street when they noticed a large dark figure gliding overhead. Street lights illuminated the entity clearly, indicating it was flying at a relatively low altitude. Both witnesses independently described the figure as a 7 to 8 foot tall black humanoid with wide membrane wings resembling those of a massive bat. The wingspan was again estimated at 12 or more. The head was elongated and thinner than a human head. The lower body tapered to a point, and no legs were visible, though the witnesses believed they may have been tucked beneath the body. The entity moved silently, gliding swiftly along the length of the street before abruptly ascending and vanishing into the night sky. Neither witness heard wing noises or vocalizations. Both individuals emphasized that they do not consume alcohol or drugs and are established professionals and business owners. They reported an overwhelming sense of dread during the encounter and stated that they remained shaken and fearful for nearly an hour afterward. The emotional impact was described as profound and lingering. I imagine it would be, folks. What did these people encounter? Now, could it have been possibly a drone? A lot of people will speculate that a lot of these Mothman sightings, especially ones gliding, are drones. But unlike basically other encounters with Mothman doesn't basically flap his wings, in the first account, it's basically mentioned that it was very fervently flapping its wings like a living entity. But we can talk more about that after we read the next article. Black 6-foot bat-like wing revealed by headlights near Decatur, Illinois in February 2023 raises regional parallels. Indeed, probably because people are seeing Mothman, or this winged entity, not in just Chicago and the O'Hare International Airport, but all over, well, Illinois and beyond. So let's read on, folks. In February 2023, a brief but deeply unsettling roadside encounter unfolded north of Decatur, Illinois. Just after dusk, a pair of witnesses observed what appeared to be a massive wing suddenly illuminated by headlights before vanishing into the surrounding farmland. The description and reaction closely echo a growing number of winged humanoid reports documented across Illinois in recent years. All right, everyone, let's get into the actual article now. The witness states that they and a friend were driving north from Decatur during the early evening hours, approximately between 7 and 8 p.m. It was already getting dark. The two were engaged in a casual conversation about a house painting project connected to a recent property purchase. There had been no discussion of anything unusual, paranormal, or out of the ordinary. So they weren't expecting what they were about to see, folks. Something that to them looked like a big wing, but to us and the, wider population of people that do look into the subject, folks, it's just another story of a Mothman encounter. At least that's what we can surmise here, folks. Like other sightings of giant bats in Chicago, folks, this entity sounds like just another one, folks. Or if we suppose it is an actual Mothman sighting, folks, because Mothman has been described as having bat-like wings, so it could be either type, folks. But we can discuss more about this after we finish off the rest of this article. So let's continue and hear what the witnesses, in their own words, have to say about this particular sighting, folks. As they followed another vehicle along the roadway, the truck's headlights suddenly illuminated something just off the road. In that instant, the witnesses observed a single wing. It appeared black, bat-like, and roughly 6 feet in width. The wing was fully extended when first seen. As soon as the light struck it, the wing abruptly recoiled and pulled back into the darkness, moving quickly toward the adjacent cornfields. The witnesses described the reaction as almost defensive, as though the light itself caused discomfort or exposure. The texture of the wing was clearly visible and compared directly to that of a bat's wing. Now, this was just this witness's account, folks, but I would imagine his friend here who also saw it say the same thing about it. But let's continue with their story. Both occupants of the vehicle immediately fell silent. The witness recalls their arms standing on end as they, exchanged looks and confirmed they both had seen the same thing. Neither individual considers themselves superstitious, and the experience prompted the witness to speak out. Given the number of similar reports that have surfaced in recent years, I imagine that indeed that they are among many such accounts, folks. And it was probably basically the hairs on their arms that basically stood out on end, folks. They said their arms stood out on end, which is understandable, folks. I imagine you would basically be almost paralyzed with fright after seeing this thing, and the hairs on your body probably would be standing up. Either way, this entity, like with the first two sightings we read, before, folks, is truly alarming. Now, as I mentioned, giant bats have been seen in Chicago as well. Not just these Mothman-like entities that have also been described either having bat-like wings or feathered wings and stuff like that. At least, I think there have been descriptions of Mothman having bird-like wings in Chicago. I do remember one account of this literal moth-like entity, this entity with moth-like wings being seen. But then again, if you look at basically classic Mothman accounts from Point Pleasant, West Virginia back in the 60s, they mostly mentioned Mothman as having, bird-like wings, or the entity basically being a big bird. Now, in Chicago, folks, people have also seen these giant owls. So giant birds, or basically unknown types of bird species being seen, is not unheard of now, at least basically with the Mothman sightings in Chicago. Even if basically Mothman, or wherever this entity actually is, folks, is not actually some sort of insect or bird, but something perhaps entirely unknown to science and mankind in general. All we know for sure, folks, is that these sightings are taking place. They're being seen basically not just in Chicago and the O'Hare International Airport, but in the state itself and beyond, and perhaps even all over America right now. Either way, truly, it's very interesting to learn about these particular stories. But, folks, we're now at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions of the chat to go subscribe me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit the part of the bell. That'll give you all feature notifications. And please, share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video. So be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.